Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Battle City number 9. We kick things off here tonight with a singles matchup, which is a quarterfinal for the Raigeki Championship Tournament to crown the first ever Raigeki Champion, the winner of which will receive not only the Raigeki Championship, but also a CIW Exceeds Championship matchup at the time of their choosing. The winner of this tournament will be crowned at Autumn Asylum, our next big super show, taking place on September 11th, 12th, and 13th. You are not going to want to miss that. But we are a long ways from there, because we start now with Strong Bad versus Eminem here in this three quarterfinal match show here on Battle City. As Strong Bad, this is the first time we've seen Strong Bad in action since an incredibly brutal back and forth confrontation, a tables, ladders, and chairs match on Saturday Night Hype at the end of May against Mario that he was not unfortunately successful in winning, but he put up a hell of a fight as he looks to now move on and do what every single wrestler in CIW hopes to do, and that's attain championship gold. But more than that, they would be the first Raigeki champion. And Strong Bad, he sends out a lot of emails, there's a lot of correspondence, so sadly a lot of the CIW talent have kind of marked him as spam, but he really has some good articles that he shares. You know, there's a lot of really good factual information about the state of Strong Badia and the parole status of Senior Card Gauge. As you know, Strong Bad likes to keep the fans informed. You know, what's Strongsad doing? I'm pretty sure Strongsad has a blog somewhere, an e-blog. Marzipan's answering machines are still going. They just did an unreleased Teen Girl Squad actually on the Homestar Runner YouTube channel. So Strong Bad, he's been getting out there putting in the work. But speaking of people putting in work, although it is in fact dirty work, here comes Eminem. As we saw Eminem take on KRS-One on Saturday Night Hype and had Dave Chappelle in his corner to secure the victory for him and to assist him in that matchup. And we thought there was going to be one-on-one, but then Dave Chappelle, I guess, didn't have the obligation we thought he did. But as a result, KRS is still pretty upset about that because we thought that a dream match, Eminem and KRS, but instead, Eminem looking to move on and perhaps change his fates himself and secure some singles gold in his own right. Will he be able to here tonight? Let's take a look at the bracket. Raigeki Championship, Round 1. And folks, you saw it there. We've got 12 singles matches here in the first round, and then we are going to have a huge Battle City right before Autumn Asylum, where we are going to have 3 fatal 4-way elimination battle royals that will determine the triple threat finalists that will face each other at Autumn Asylum, and a big leg drop there from Strong Bad to kick things off. Now a leg drop, of course, the Senior Card Gauge chop from Strong Bad. Eminem has the MG Killer that he's used on a number of occasions and actually secured the victory over KRS-One with. KRS-One is also in this tournament, and we will actually be seeing KRS-One next week take on Dave Chappelle, mostly in response to what Dave Chappelle did to secure the victory to Eminem. KRS is not happy with that. So stay tuned, and I'm sure Eminem is going to make his presence felt there. But right now, exploiting the count of referee, I believe this is Matthew Fox here tonight, who's going to be officiating all 3 matches. And folks, the referees, they do try to get right into the thick of it to give you the best officiating they can, but sometimes they do get caught in the line of fire. And the only way to make sure that their medical bills are paid is to like, is to share, is to subscribe, is to switch that bell button to all, and to comment what you liked or didn't like about the show to hashtag Save a Referee today. Don't just do it for the channel, do it for the referees, because they need every single piece of your support. That is without a doubt here, as Strong Bad now trying to counter Eminem. That's definitely an odd pairing you wouldn't expect. Although both of these guys were really at their hottest at the same time when you think about it. You know, a byproduct of the 2000s, especially the early to mid 2000s. Strong Bad and Eminem were topping the charts in their respective fields. So this, you know, you want to talk about dream matches, but that is not a dream. That is a nightmare low blow from Eminem to Strong Bad. Message sent. And folks, we were talking about Autumn Asylum, but we do have another TV special, another big summer special coming up before then, which is the Midsummer Showdown on August 15th, a little bit over a month from now. As we're going to be seeing a lot take place. Those are going to be filled with #1 contenders matches, more than likely. Of course, the card is subject to change, but we are absolutely excited to give you all of the action we can to keep the blockbuster summer sweltering with all of the intensity. And speaking of intensity, and Eminem tried to go for a fist, and instead, no closed fist punches for Strong Bad on this occasion, but a low blow will derail the momentum regardless. And so far, it seems like neither of these teams have been able to get a definitive advantage over each other. And, and it's sometimes, I need to get my glasses checked. I might have said these teams, these individuals, as we've had a lot of tag team action. Of course, we're still reeling from last week, the Keanu Connection securing the Mirror Force championships. And now they will have a tag team championship match at the time of their choosing, Neo and John Wick. And now Eminem finally got back around to delivering those closed fist punches after all. As Eminem, he gets swarmed with so much media. He's probably so sick of the emails coming through from Strong Bad, which I'm sure he sends to spam. But, Strong Bad's pretty efficient with a computer. Don't let the boxing gloves fool you. He can type in some Lennox and all that stuff. He's got his main man Edgar on the take, In worst case scenario, he gets Bubs to fix things, and trust me, you don't want Bubs to fix your laptop. Bubs' IT work is, let's say, a little more meat and potatoes than some of the refined technicians of our day. As now, Strong Bad threw Eminem out and brought him back into the ring. Now, Eminem, wait a second, Eminem instantly MG Killer, the kill shot, as it were. And that kill shot might be enough to put Strong Bad away, but didn't go for the cover. We also had actually it was the My Name Is that Eminem used to put KRS away, but he did launch a couple of those kill shots, but it was not enough to take down the master of the IMA MCRU12, as KRS is now starting to feel a little grudge, towards Eminem, because I think KRS was looking forward to a fair fight. And the fact that Eminem wasn't willing to meet him halfway on that is really, it's disconcerting to me. I thought that these two, they're old veterans at this point, that they would have had some respect, especially considering how much KRS just tells the absolute truth without label influence. And now bringing up the count is Strong Bad very smartly to make sure that the count out does not get both men eliminated from this tournament. Because, folks, if there is a double count out or a double disqualification, that is what would occur, is that both men would be eliminated from the tournament, and then instead of a fatal four-way elimination match, we would have a triple threat elimination match or something of the like, were that to be the case. But of course, nobody wants that. We want a definitive conclusion and a nice backbreaker there by Eminem. And so far, both of these guys, it has really been tit for tat here in our opening contest. Of course, we've got Ri'saad, the Counselor of Finance, taking on Rain in our next matchup in our main event. A big-time Soul Calibur versus Mortal Kombat confrontation to close out another round or another trio of matches in the Raigeki Quarterfinal. It is Mitsurugi from Soul Calibur going one-on-one against the 3-time Exceeds champion Noob Saibot. Here in our main event, you do not want to change that channel. Don't switch tabs. Don't scroll Facebook. Nobody cares what's going on Threads, because CIW is where all of the best stories are interwoven together into a rich tapestry, and that is the way we like to do it here in Colonial Impact Wrestling. We thank each and every one of you for joining us here tonight, or any night that you decide to show CIW and give it a little bit of time, as now referee Matthew Fox trying to get into the face of Strong Bad, as that was a rather aggressive throwdown from the back of the head. And now, wait a second, but now here comes another kill shot, this time square in the center of the ring, and that might have done it for Strong Bad. If Eminem goes for the cover here, I think this match is over, but he's taking a second here. And, I'm a little curious about that, but Strong Bad did get up relatively quickly and just got all Eminem turned around and confused. And I wonder if Eminem was just thrown a little bit there. Maybe he was a little exhausted from hitting, or surprised that Strong Bad has this kind of resilience to withstand 2 kill shots. And a nice hip toss there from the Eminem. Man of the curtain call. When I tried to call him, I tried to talk albums with him, all he said, and All he sent, he said, like, hey, do you want to meet up to talk about your albums? And all he sent was in capital letters, over and over, thack, 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 thack. It was like 26 messages. It was so much. And I'm like, all right, I get it, dude. Like, we won't hang out. Like, and fairly, I think it's because he's a little upset because AB has been taking a lot of the, Abizzle, our counselor of talent relations, has been taking a lot of the issues between him and Ri'saad out on the talent and the workout program. So Eminem's abs, I think, are just perpetually sore. So he doesn't want to sit and talk to just a fan about his music. You know, it's a little bit of a sore subject. Eminem, top rope, and smartly gets off of the top. And Strong Bad getting able to clear. And I didn't get a chance to talk about how Eminem was exploiting referee Matthew Fox's count, but he sure did it. And now on the outside, what a backbreaker from Strong Bad, who I think just needed a fraction of a breather here against Eminem here in our opening contest. These two have been beating the hell out of each other. Somehow Strong Bad is still in this contest. He's withstood 2 kill shots so far. He's got that senior card gauge chop, but this is all in the name of advancing in the Raigeki Championship tournament. Of course, the winner of the Raigeki Championship will receive an Exceeds Championship match at the time of their choosing. And now we've got 3 definitive championships in circulation with that stipulation in play. You know, Kratos is the Millennium Champion, the first ever. We saw Ivy Valentine on the Brawlbarbecue last week secure the Ash Blossom Championship. And now we know that the Keanu Connection, as I mentioned before, have a tag title shot at the time of their choosing. But when any of these folks will cash in is up to the title holders. Meaning the Ash Blossom, the Millennium, and the Mirror Force. And folks, when that happens, as far as we know, it's like they come to cash it in that night, and then the championship is vacated on the match starting. So when the bell rings for the match that is going to be that championship match cash-in, that is when that belt is vacated. So if we're having a tournament in the middle of all of that, then that will be what hell. Wait a second, senior card gauge chop! Senior card gauge chop after a hell of an exchange back and forth and an immediate cover from Strong Bad. 1, 2, 3! And Strong Bad, after withstanding 2 kill shots, found a way by luring Eminem to the outside, hitting a few big impact moves. There's a shot into the ring post, and then finally the senior card gauge chop at the end. But what really was the difference maker was the immediate cover. Eminem could not get an immediate cover on Strong Bad on either kill shot. 1 senior card gauge chop, and that was all she wrote. The ever opportunistic Strong Bad moves on to the semifinals. Later on in the Raigeki Championship Tournament. What an incredible matchup. Well done, Strong Bad. Let's take a look at the bracket as it stands before we move on to match number 2. Our next match is another Raigeki Championship quarterfinal matchup. Introducing first is the Counselor of Finance here in Colonial Impact Wrestling. The man who is the Khajiit Traveler, the Caravan Traveler from Skyrim, the Elder Scrolls V Anniversary Edition, 2 to 75, 55 more years of Skyrim. Don't ask me about Elder Scrolls 6, Ri'saad. As I'm actually told that Ri'saad is strictly the reason why Elder Scrolls 6 has taken so long, of course, because he is working very closely with Todd Howard to secure the finances necessary to release Elder Scrolls 6, which I think is never coming out. Our latest update is, it's playable. Thanks. We will never see any game footage of this, and by the time it's released, it's gonna be just a giant bag of goo-ga. And maybe just goo, not even the ga. But Ri'saad, he's laid those same kind of budget cuts to CIW, and admittedly, I've been more on AB's side than Ri'saad's side, and he's made sure to let me know about it because he did ban Abizzle from the building and got him all upset, and then Abizzle took out an intern as a result, and then Terry had to be called. It was just a bad situation, and thankfully JOSHAGEDDON was in the building, the ambassador of talent relations, to pick up the slack where Ri'saad attempted budget cuts, and sadly Ri'saad made sure that that JOSHAGEDDON got 0 extra pay for pulling double duty. But here comes rain, and there's a storm be brewing, and rain is here to let it all pour out. The master of the Rainbringer, he has done nothing in singles action since showing up in CIW as part of Cold Rain and Souls, as we saw that implode, as Rain and Souls have done what they can, but this is a huge opportunity for Rain. Can he succeed here tonight and shock the world? Let's take a look at the bracket before we get on this intense Raigeki Championship tournament matchup. Raigeki Championship, Round 1. As Rain and Ri'saad, definitely Ri'saad has traveled on many caravans in the rain. Rain does not apologize for the weather because it's just, everyone thinks that Rain is just like controlling the clouds. It's like, that's not how it works, dude. I just can form clouds. I'm not dictating what's going on environmentally everywhere, you know? So Rain's like, I don't know what to tell you, dude, but everyone just is like, why is the weather so shitty? I don't know. Oh wait, Ri'saad up to the top and now closing the gap with a knee to the face as Rain was just measuring his opponent, the Counselor of Finance, and it's on here. As Ri'saad and Abizzle have been entangled in a very bitter feud, and every single business meeting, every single CIW council meeting has ended in squabbling between these two. We've actually had to hire security to stand in between them at the table so they don't jump across it and start brawling. And it's mostly Abizzle trying to brawl as Ri'saad is just kind of licking himself most of the time. Oh, cover from Ri'saad, and not even a 1 count. As Ri'saad seems to be rather unaffected by Abizzle's shenanigans, but the second Abizzle goes to buy a suit, even if it's a cheap suit. I looked up that leaf suit that in Grotwood that he got, 40 cents. Abizzle spent 40 cents on that suit, and Ri'saad had him banned from the building. That's so petty. You don't need to nickel and dime that hard, brother. And now look at a big belly to belly there, and look at the strength of Rain. Of course, Ri'saad has that skooma stabber, and oh, and a low blow. And I won't lie to you, ladies and gentlemen, the reception that Ri'saad has gotten since becoming the Counselor of Finance has soured tremendously, and I think a lot of that has been his treatment of Abizzle. Not even just that Abizzle wanted the job back, but the fact that Ri'saad has been this petty, and honestly, I thought that he was going to be a more respectable athlete than he's been. It's been a lot of low blows. It's been a lot of cheating, put his feet on the ropes. You know, any way to do it, he's doing it. And trust me, I'm not blaming him necessarily, but, you know, expectations versus reality, I guess. And and they're right there. Perfect example. You know, the low blows when you're looking the guy in the eye, that's one thing. But when you're doing it from behind somebody's back, that's just, oh, come on, Ri'saad. This just isn't right. And Rain now trying to counter. Referee Matthew Fox giving Ri'saad the business, but Ri'saad could just dock him his pay. You know, it's like how do you even yell at Ri'saad in the middle of the ring? You know, that's a very difficult situation that Matthew Fox is in. But Rain's still trying to make a bit of a comeback here in this Raigeki Championship quarterfinal. Ri'saad, he's had actually some impressive victories. Oh no, wait a second. Skooma stabber, and down goes Rain. And this match could be over before it's even begun. And now a cover from Ri'saad here. 1, 2, 3. And Rain gave it his all, but I mean, it started right at the top when he closed the gap. Rain was just measuring his opponent, but he got a DDT and a belly-to-belly in. But Ri'saad with a bunch of unnecessary behind-the-back belt shots. Shots to the dick. Ri'saad secures a semi-final berth in the Raigeki Championship tournament. And you know that is not going to sit well with Abizzle. It doesn't sit right with me, honestly. I mean, the fact that he's this upset about the budget, and yet somehow he's able to wrestle in these tournaments is, I don't know. But in any case, Ri'saad is your winner here tonight, taking down Rain. Let's take a look at the bracket and move on to our main event. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for our main event! And it is a Raigeki Championship quarterfinal matchup between two of the most renowned fighting characters in fighting games of all time. Introducing first, the man from Soul Calibur 2 and 3, and he's been in all of them basically, but specifically wearing his DLC unlock. It was not downloadable, it's a secret unlock to get this robed Mitsurugi, and he's decided that that is what he's just going to wear all the time here, and I understand it as opposed to his samurai outfit, but the samurai master, Mitsurugi, as he's going to be taking on one of the most decorated champions in Colonial Impact Wrestling history. An OG in this business, in Colonial Impact Wrestling, in Noob Saibot, a 3-time Exceeds champion. As Noob Saibot definitely bringing the experience, and of course in Mortal Kombat was known as Bihan, formerly Sub-Zero, was killed viciously in actually a master plot by Quan Chi, and ultimately resurrected as Noob Saibot, where he has been more lethal than ever. But Noob Saibot, he's in recent years and in recent months, it has been a little bit harder to put things together. He reunited with Smoke to form Noob Smoke, and it has been a tough road to get back to the top of the mountain for Noob Saibot, but a Raigeki Championship is right up his alley. This is exactly what Noob Saibot says he needs to get back to comfortable with himself and with his career, and this is the perfect place to do it, to become the first Raigeki champion. Let's take a look at the bracket. Raigeki Championship. Round 1. Folks, even if the Raigeki Championship tournament was not in play, this is a bit of a dream match in my eyes here. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Soul Calibur versus Mortal Kombat. There is no better representation of these two franchises in my eyes. And I know that Scorpion and Sub-Zero would take great exception to me saying that, considering that their literal faction name right now is The Franchise, because they believe that they are the name synonymous, and to some degree they're right. But Noob Saibot is literally the inventor of Mortal Kombat's name backwards. Okay? Like, oh, and now small package, and not even a 1 count, but Noob Saibot's foot was under the ropes. But that does make me think that Noob Saibot is not afraid to take a little dirtier path to get what he wants. And at this position, when you're facing a guy like Mitsurugi, who has had an incredible start to his CIW career, it was in the Millennium Championship Tournament, made it to the second round of the championship tournament, lost in the triple threat round. I believe Captain Planet was the one who came out on top of that. Let me verify that, or at least they were in the same matchup. No, that match was won by King Leonidas, of course. King Leonidas. Speaking of King Leonidas, we will be seeing him in a couple of weeks' time in action on Saturday Night Hype. So stay tuned for that, as we have yet to confirm his opponent, but that we know that he is going to make his Saturday Night Hype debut in the coming weeks. So stay tuned for that, ladies and gentlemen. Now kicking off Noob Saibot with those big blocky shoes. And a drop toe hold from Noob Saibot, and there is the experience factor coming into play. Mitsurugi made his debut at the Battalion Brawl, the first of its kind, back at the end of January. And he has been trying to pave his way ever since. And we will see whether he is able to finally get the job done here tonight. And actually, I take that back. It was Kratos, not King Leonidas, but it was Kratos that Mitsurugi lost to in that semifinals in the Millennium Championship Tournament. And unlike Michael Cole, I just have to look at it myself and do the flipping back for the research. But speaking of a bruised ego, how about the chest of Mitsurugi getting turned into hamburger by Noob Saibot? As, ladies and gentlemen, Battle City rolls on. We're basically going to be engulfed in this Raigeki Championship Tournament over the next couple of months as we get through all 12 of these one-on-one matches in the first round. As it is going to be, I believe, Battle City 12. So we've got 3 more to go before we finally get to the semifinals of this tournament play, as it is in the Raigeki Championship. That Raigeki Of course, that Exceeds Championship at the time of their choosing, a very lucrative prize for all 24 participants in this tournament. Hand chosen by the counselor of Battle City, Maximilian Pegasus, and now just choking down and pushing those thumbs onto the larynx of Noob Saibot is Mitsurugi, who is appearing to not have any scruples himself about being a little arrogant. I mean, just slapping the head of Noob Saibot. And now wrenching the arms. We used to call that move the Ninja Special. And I'm sure that Mitsurugi is aware of that. And now just exploiting referee Matthew Fox's count. He only has till the count of 5 or else he'll be disqualified. But Mitsurugi wants to inflict as much punishment as possible, as these two individuals have traversed long roads to reach this point. Noob Saibot, an original in CIW. And what would it mean for Mitsurugi if he's able to beat in one-on-one action a 3-time Exceed champion, especially given what the Raigeki Championship means? And that could be absolutely huge for the career of Mitsurugi, which is a very young career as it is. And now looking for something but a tornado DDT counter by Noob Saibot. And a big drop kick. Down goes Mitsurugi. Up to the top goes Noob Saibot. Elbow drop, and oh! Mitsurugi got the knees up. Saw Saibot coming. And was just one step ahead of the Shadow Master. The man in control of the Shadow Bomb, which has won him that championship. The Exceed, wait a second, what is going on here? What is this? And a big super back suplex off the top rope. And now a cover from Mitsurugi could be over. 1, 2, and 3. Only 2. Noob Saibot barely kicks out of the avalanche back suplex. And folks, you don't need to be on the slopes to know how much impact that drives down. And a big drop kick there from Mitsurugi. He's deceptively fast. He's got all that samurai training. His strikes are precision sharp. But Noob Saibot, I mean, there's a reason Noob Saibot was known as the, the OP in, I think it was Mortal Kombat Trilogy or Ultimate or whatever it is, because he was banned from tournament play because he was so damn good. And he's kind of shown that in Colonial Impact Wrestling as well, at least in the early years, and he's, it's been a long time for Noob Saibot. But right now, Mitsurugi has got an advantage over Noob, who is now holding his ribs a little bit. As you can tell, it's starting to hurt him, but now a little leg to the back himself, a little arm wrench, and, one of the most valuable pieces of the body for professional wrestlers are the rotator cuffs. And to have them yanked from your shoulders like somebody is trying to Quan Chi rip them off of your body is one of the most vile feelings you can have. And if you hurt a wing, that could take a significant amount of offense away from any wrestler, especially Mitsurugi, who's been using the pretentious fool, which is that second rope, kind of jumping senton. It's very impressive. Oh, what a spear! I was going to say it's very impressive, and just as I said that, Mitsurugi with an impressive spear up to the top rope and went for something. I think just tried to close the gap, maybe stomp on the face. Didn't have enough space. Elbow drop and countered as Noob Saibot saw it. Wait a second, that might have been a costly mistake. It's a shadow bomb. It's a huge shadow bomb, and that could be the end for Mitsurugi. But can he get over for the cover? Noob Saibot's already taken a considerable amount of punishment. And Mitsurugi was able to get up, but now he is holding his ribs. The damage has definitely been inflicted here in our main event tonight of Battle City 9. In this big Soul Calibur versus Mortal Kombat main event. To determine which game is truly the master of fighting games. Although I would say that Soul Calibur didn't get enough copies to really make a valid comparison. But that's only because they made a monstrous mess out of the last game. But, that seems to happen. Mortal Kombat was able to power through that. Though, they had some games in the middle that were like meh to really meh. And they've been able to stabilize it. But, I have to imagine that chip is on Mitsurugi's shoulder as well. Knowing that everybody probably universally believes that Mortal Kombat is the superior fighting game franchise. Even though, the peak of Soul Calibur was early, it still has some staying power to this day. I would love to see some actual love put into a reboot. But Mitsurugi, maybe that's what he's fighting for. You get the championship, you get more money, then you pay for a Kickstarter, and then you're off. Or if he runs into a billionaire, which if you do, Mitsurugi, feel free to let us know. Although, to be fair, I've got quite a lot of financiers going on here in CIW. I don't know if I need more. Dear God, Mitsurugi. Just putting those giant block shoes onto the back and just laying all of his body weight onto Noob Saibot, onto the ring ropes. Saibot onto the top to change the tides. Elbow drop! And Matthew Fox might have got clipped there, but didn't leave his feet. Boy, what a matchup this has been. Noob Saibot with a game-changing elbow drop. Changed the momentum of this matchup. But can he put away Mitsurugi here tonight? And a big fireman's carry, take a drink or a scoop of ice cream. Both men have taken a lot of punishment. Saibot up to the top again, and went for something there, and it might have been, it was a corkscrew, maybe a splash, but I don't think he got the angle right. Not enough to at least inflict any significant damage. But both of these guys, it is back and forth. Just as one guy gets some momentum, another guy stops him. But who is going to be the one to take one breath too many? One mistake could be fatal in this quarterfinal matchup between two fighting game greats. Now just stomps to the head. Referee Matthew Fox trying to keep this civil, but I don't think there's any way you can keep a match between these two men civil. Not with stakes this high or with animosity this hard. Oh, wait a second. Mitsurugi might be hitting his closer. It's the pretentious fool, and he lands all of it right in the center of the ring. That is it. But he's got to go for the cover. Mitsurugi going for the cover, and Noob Saibot, how? How is Noob Saibot standing? Wait, no way! Another shadow palm! Right after the pretentious fool! Perhaps it was all of us that were pretentious fools, thinking this match was done! The cover from Saibot! 1, 2, 3! And Noob Saibot has moved on. What a match between these two incredible athletes. But the three-time Exceeds champion pulls it out at the bottom of the 9th with runners in scoring position with a grand slam shadow bomb. What a move to seal the deal and move on in the Raigeki Championship Tournament. You have earned it, Noob Saibot. What an effort. Thank you all for coming to Battle City 9. We will see you all next week for Saturday Night Hype. Let's take a quick look at the bracket, and you all have a lovely week. Take care, everybody.